Perfect. So call to order at 6:08 p.m. So thank you everyone for coming to our 7th meeting for this term. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. So we begin this gathering by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and within land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, and acknowledging this reminds us that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendships of Indigenous people. And with that, we can kick off our meeting. Actually, before we get too deep into it, I would just like to give a shout out to our newest board member, Shazadi. She's joining us online today. Congratulations, welcome to the team.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. So yeah, with that, we'll move into our first item, which is our agenda approval. So be it resolved that board approves the agenda for meeting 7. Can I get a mover in a second there? I've got Gabby and Azrea. We'll go through really quick. So we'll start with any opposed, abstentions, and we're good.
Sorry, Alex, can you tell me how many people are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, do I get plus you? No, I'm 7. 7 with you. Yeah, 7 with me. And then
We got 3 online, so I'm good.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And next one, our minutes approval. Keep in mind, if you were not at the last meeting, just remember to abstain. So be it resolved, board approves the minutes from meeting 6. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Gabby and Inkle. Before we get to the vote, Lena, did you have a question or was that? Oh, that was a move. Sorry, my apologies. All right, so with that then, any against? Abstentions? We have Maggie in the room. And Shazadi online.
I'm just abstaining because I was not in the meeting.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So moving on to our first big agenda item here. Be resolved that board moves in camera at 6:11 p.m. Can I just get a mover and seconder? Azrea and Maggie, please. Yeah, we have to go. Yep. So anyone against? Abstain? And we're good. We're back. Everyone. So yeah, if you wanna, are you just gonna invite her back or?
Yeah, I'm doing this right now.
Yeah, let's just take like a 5-minute break then. We can come back. So everyone come back at 7:12. All right. All right, Pete, I'll walk you out. Thanks again. Thank you. Oh, I didn't realize we stopped recording for that. I'll pass it over to you, Rob, right away.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. So we're presenting today a referendum, and so it is for new student space on campus, and this discussion first started at BUSU in 2004, and the strategic plan in 2004 said we're going to build new student space. The building that we sit in right now, the Student and Alumni Center, was opened in 1991. The population of undergraduate students has tripled since that point in time. So then in 2012, there was actually another strategic plan at BUSU, and they said, hey, we're going to build new student space. So 2004, and in 2012, new strategic plan, we're going to build student space. And so that was what happened in 2012. And in 2012, we invested around $150,000 in a feasibility study. And we actually designed a building and everything else, and it didn't happen. And so then we go to our strategic plan and also something called the Brock Community and Health Building. So we actually did another feasibility study in 2020 and our strategic plan in 2021 that says, hey, we're going to build a new building. But the difference this time was that in 2018, 2019, we ran a referendum, and the students have committed funds to a building once the building opens. So that is something our students have done already. The memorandum of understanding before you is really just tweaking a few things for the bank. This is the exact same MOU that went to referendum last March. So the board approved it previously. And what it does is it tweaks some things. So for example, before we said you need to pay money, we say, okay, well, now you need to pay money when the building opens, but you can't take it back. So we can't run another referendum that says, okay, the building's open now we're gonna pay for it anymore. And so it's got some things in that the bank told us that we needed. And so that is a little bit about the history. I'll turn it over to you, James.
I mean, that sums it up pretty nicely, but so we ran this referendum last March, we didn't reach quorum. So kind of unfortunate, but this past election in October, we reached quorum by the CLP. So we are very confident that we're gonna learn from our lessons the past 2 election periods and easily achieve quorum this time. I mean, like,
Pretty much
summed it up.
Yeah, if you're good, then we'll just keep rolling, open up for any questions or discussion. Hope everyone saw the document beforehand, but yeah. You want to chat
Maybe
about
it's
it?
better questions, it'll be specific.
Gabby?
I only have one question. It's not really to do with the document itself, but it's how are we going to ensure that we keep going on this? Because I know it's been. Like, this is like.
Well, I can't-
We have like measures that we're gonna,
I mean, like, we can literally anything can happen, I can guarantee you that we're going to reach quorum, I can't tell you for certain that that is what's gonna happen, I can't see it in the future, but we're gonna do everything we can to make that happen.
Yeah, I think that, you know, from that perspective, I mean, what was the interesting learning outcome from the last referendum is that pretty much James alone actually increased the votership went up 6% in one day. And so I think what we've learned is that we need way more ground troops, which I'm gonna look around the room and I'm gonna look online. Is going to involve some effort on behalf of everyone if we're gonna push this forward. The last referendum was, if we could announce, because we're not in camera right now, it was very successful. So if we had made quorum, we would have been like, we've been moving forward in a really good way because it was overwhelmingly supportive. But we did not meet quorum last time. So I think that's another thing that's worth noting.
So kind of what Robert was alluding to is that on the last day, we were about 5% away from quorum. And typically we get the most amount of votes in the first day, and it goes down the second day, and then the last day goes down with a little bit of a peak at the end. The last day actually had the most voting because we were at 9% and we needed 14. And I was here alone because Alyssa and Carly were away with you as well. It's BUSU General Assembly, and I spent all day going around campus telling people to vote. So obviously that kind of shows you that it works better when there's an actual interaction or somebody's actually there assuring that you'll vote, because our marketing is better than it's ever been, and it just simply didn't help us get the quorum. I can't explain it. I mean, I think maybe the easiest explanation is that times are different, post-COVID world, students interact differently with people, their interest levels in certain things are different. That's the most of an explanation I can give. I guess kind of going back to Gabby's question, the assurance thing is that we've taken note of what's happened the last 2 elections, and we're gonna flip the script and make sure that doesn't happen again this time.
Yeah, and the big word there is we, because it's a we problem right now, okay?
Alright. Any other questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, jokes, insults? Alright. I think we have a motion. Right here. So be it resolved that the board approves the new student center question and memorandum of understanding and sends it to referendum during the February election period. Be it further resolved that board tasks Carly Charlton to run the yes side of the referendum. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I saw Isaiah and Gabby first. I don't know if you're putting your hand up. I keep looking this, so I don't even know if you're doing it. Yeah, we will do this one back to last. So could we get anyone opposed? Any abstentions? And that goes through. Someone ran. Okay, cool, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That should be used. Could we delete this last one? Because.
Oh, that's it, that's why, that makes sense, okay, got it. Sorry, folks, moving on. General manager report, over to you.
No, we actually have appointment committee appointments.
I missed
That's
that.
why I thought about that, because I was like, oh, we actually have a good turnout of.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Who's doing that one?
I think Ms. Rosetto.
Over to you, Kaylee.
Cool. So as everyone knows from, and Shanzadi, this will be kind of news to you, but previously the board approved a policy change that placed 3 board members on each of our appointment committees. So I know that it's a little far away because we will be starting the process kind of end of February, but Kate and I are hoping to get some individuals assigned to the committees now so that we can start putting together some training documents. So the committees will be 3 board members, 3 advisory committee members. We will select the advisory committee members over the next, month or 2. But we're hoping that we can kind of sort out what board members are going to be on what committee. We may need to double up depending on how many individuals are available. Because as a reminder, if you plan on applying for any of the executive positions, you will not be eligible to participate in the process. So yeah, I've got a little chart that I'm hoping, I don't care how this is done. I'm hoping we can kind of just see who is interested in sitting on what committee and kind of popping people in. Hopefully everyone who wants to participate can kind of have their first choice, and then maybe we go on to second choice. And then if there are any empty spots, was planning on taking this again to the next meeting that we would have on a Friday night to try to get anybody that wasn't able to attend today. So I'll pull up the chart, and then it may be easier, Alex, since you're in the room, to kind of facilitate seeing who is free there. Shansadi did share with me, I know she needs to leave for an appointment soon, I believe, but they're interested in participating in the Pres and the VPSS. So if we could just kind of keep that in mind. But this is kind of the chart I've got here that I'm hoping we can fill out, if that makes sense.
So I think before we get started, James had something he wanted to say.
Kaylee, just a question. Aren't the election of the board members is to the advisory committee, and by virtue of sitting on the advisory committee, they also sit on the hiring committee, or was that a misinterpretation?
No, they're just on the appointment. They're part of the appointment process, not to the advisory committees.
And so just before we kind of start this whole thing, I just want to lay out the ground rules so nobody kind of screws themselves over down the line. So if you are planning on or considering putting your name forward for one of the executive positions next term, then you can't participate in the appointment process. So don't volunteer your name beyond. That's
Like,
right. Yeah,
not-
even honestly, not you. That's right. Yeah, but
Like any of them? Like don't participate in
No,
any of them? Okay.
James,
Oh.
did you have some?
I was gonna clarify that even if you're planning, for example, to put your name forward for VPSS, that doesn't mean you can sit on the VPA committee. You can't sit on any of them.
And that's only for 1 year, right? Like.
Yeah, that would just be, that'll just be until your board term. Well, actually,
Yeah, if you have your leave, you're not planning on running this year, but the year after, then we can put your name forward on the committee this year.
Lena, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just confused as to what you said. So what Kaylee had said was that you can sit on the committee that you don't want to run on.
That was also.
And-
said in the-
But
No,
then if
sorry,
you're
you can't sit
That's
on
what I
any of the committees.
suggested.
okay, so if you want to run for any of the exec position for next year, you can't sit on any of the committees then.
Correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it was that because James was talking, so like with what I said, that's what it, like. If you want to be, okay, cool, okay, sorry, now we got it.
We had suggested before.
Yeah, I think that was a discussion, but I remember this being.
And James, I did look it up. There is one board member on each of the advisory committees. I don't know if we actually did that this year, but we can select that
I
from
remember
the. screen.
we tabled it. Because we were running over time and Alex wasn't there and I said. We should table it, so Alex, because I think it would make sense that Alex would be on the president's advisory committee, but. Besides the point.
For
Okay,
now,
yes, I do remember
Let's
that.
just get into this, so, I don't know, just gauging, we wanna do it kind of like one at a time, or should we just get a kind of an idea of who wants to do it?
One at a time.
Alright, perfect, so, president, who wants to be on that committee? Seeing no hands, so we'll put Claudia in there, cause I know she had said she wants to be in the president one. Anybody else online for presidents?
Oh, question.
Yeah.
So, I'm supposed to get a call option in January, so what are they gonna do, VP or any stuff? Or should we look at your? Because there's.
Hey, UPSS, does anyone want to be on that one? Maggie. Maggie, sorry, I don't know if you heard me. We got one. VPEA, anybody want to be on that one?
This is going.
No, I don't really wanna like pry, because you know, I know sometimes people like to kind of keep it to themselves, but. I'm guessing a lot of people here are considering kind of running for, yeah, okay. That's expected, yeah, folks online. Are you comfortable to indicate whether or not you plan on running or not? Yeah,
Yeah, that was confused, cause like.
I can speak for myself. I'm not sure what I want to do, so I.
if I can speak to just kind of the board, like coming from my own personal stance here. At this point in time, like I'm undecided whether or not I wanna run for an executive position. I'm kind of wondering if it's maybe the same for some of the board members. Would it make sense to maybe table this for like a month or so? Charlie would second that, yeah, I think kind of we're gauging that, yes. Yeah, Robert, you got that?
I just want to hear Kaylee's comments on that in terms of a table.
Daily?
I mean, if we don't have people to fill these seats, I'm not sure if we have a choice. I was wondering if Brielle would be, because I think Brielle had graduated and wouldn't net be eligible. I'm wondering if we could hear from Brielle. I know she participated last year as well too.
Yeah, we'll pass it to you if you have any thoughts. I don't know what we ever want, yeah.
Oops.
I think.
She just said, oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, alright, so why don't we do that, whatever, we guys, we need to motion to table. We need a motion to table?
I can just bring it up next meeting in January.
Really quick though, Kaylee, do you wanna just erase the names that you already had put in, and then we can just start it over at the next one?
Sure.
So yeah, that's your homework for the month. I know you got exams and everything, but over the holidays, definitely take some time to think about your plans moving forward, if you wanna put your name into the ring, or if you'd be happy on the committee this year. Okay, now I'll pass it over to Robert for.
Thanks, Ross. So I've circulated the report, I'm gonna highlight a few things, so I guess the first piece is. It's about new student space on campus. So when I actually interviewed for the role of general manager. I presented two things, and so this is what the committee asked me to. It was actually Yasmin Hijazi's brother, Faisal. And so he was the president at the time. And what I sort of indicated is that. I would deliver two things. I would deliver a strategic plan, and we're actually going into next year, the last year of our strategic plan. So I was able to do that. And I was able to lead that. I certainly don't do most of the things in it. And then the second one was about a building. And so this building has been a dream of BUSU since 2004. And I'm gonna tell you, this is the closest we've ever been. And so certainly we are working with Brock every 2 weeks now to meet with them. Certainly, you know, we have the board of trustees at Brock in our sites at this point in time. Certainly, our group of students have developed a plan around it, at least a preliminary plan around it. And this is the closest we've ever been. And so, we'll continue to keep you posted on that plan as we move forward. But certainly we know that the referendum will conclude on the 15th of February. And we are hopeful to go to the Board of Trustees at Brock University in ideally March. And if not, we will go in June. So we know that we have this window. And this is our window. If we get land on campus, then this, while it's never easy, we will hire an architect. The architect will design the building, and then at which point, and with consultation with students, and then we will move to a construction manager and they will construct the building. And that, all these things are not easy, but the phase we're in right now is the most difficult phase. But it's the most optimistic that I've ever been that this is gonna happen. So I wanted to sort of leave you with that in terms of that has to be a priority for all of us in the next 3.5 months. It just has to be a priority. So that's something I want to sort of deliver to you. The second thing I'll talk about in the report a little bit is about a couple services that are being offered, and they just started yesterday. So our library is now open longer. So BUSU makes that happen for the benefit of our students. And it began on the 26th of November, just yesterday, and will conclude on December 19th. And so I list the library hours, you can find them online. In conjunction with that, the students have to get home somehow. So we actually run something called the Drive Home program. We do it with a ride share service called Zoom, and students can get a ride home, whether it be 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or whatever time they're here, they can get right to their house. So there's information on the Drive Home program there. The other 2 items that I wanted to mention that are both services is one in the Food First program. So this year to date, we've actually provided $30,000, like this term, $30,500 to students in terms of food. So that I think is good, but it's also somewhat scary in that that amount just keeps going up and up and up. So that's not a great sign for our students, but we haven't had to say no yet. So that is a good thing. We will also be launching, and hopefully some students can get some money back, an income tax clinic. So the Goodman School of Business used to run an income tax clinic, and for whatever reason, they don't run it anymore. So we picked that up. We're using largely the accounting students from the Goodman School of Business, but we are actually running that. And we will be running it every single week, starting February 3rd and ending mid-April. So it kicks off on January the 30th, when we're going to be hosting a Taco About Taxes event. So it's a taco bar and a tax clinic. Ezra, you got a question there?
Will the tax clinic, even though it's like a long period, is it by appointment or is it just a block?
A combination of both.
Okay,
So they will take appointments, but they're going to keep a certain amount of people to walk in.
okay, that's the one. Thank you.
And then the last 3 things that I'm going to mention, because we're actually getting through this faster than I thought people perhaps would, but I wanted to wish you all best of luck with your exams. I know that I have in my MEd program, I've got 2 weeks and 2 days now remaining in my program in terms of this term. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait for it to be done. I think you're probably all the same. So I just wanted to wish you all best of luck in your exams, and to make sure you also take care of yourself, okay? I also want to wish you, if I don't see you before now and the end of the year, I want to wish you a great break. This is a good opportunity for you to rest and recharge and see family potentially. So I want to wish you the best of luck in your break. And then on my personal side, I did share with a bunch of you that I will be 50% of the way through my master's degree in 2 weeks and 2 days. And then my son, who I'm quite proud of, he just got his first big boy job in Calgary. And he will be leaving for Calgary on Wednesday. So that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Always with like the emotional updates at the end, like just the little, I always love the little personal stuff that you put in. I don't know, it's like, oh, what's going on?
I'm a person too.
I think it's great. I think it's. Yeah, you just, well, yours is long. Are there any questions for Robert? All right, so if there are no questions, we'll move on to our last item, which is James' report.
First thing is also the new student center. Robert gave most of the history on that. We're meeting with Brock in 2 weeks. It's going quite well. And we're hoping to present to the Board of Trustees in March. Like Robert said, we're gonna be focusing on that, make our number one goal for the next few months. Hopefully with some help from people here, we get the referendum passed. You guys might have known this past week I was at the CASA Advocacy Week in Ottawa with Alyssa. I had the privilege of meeting with quite a few MPs. My home MP from Orléans, Ontario, Matt Constallons, and even our local MP Chris Biddle. And we of course also have satellite campus in Burlington. So we met with the director of policy for that MP, who happens to be a minister, so she's quite busy to make the meeting, and as well as some other MPs. And if you read the headline, there is the recommendations that we were communicating to the MPs listed there. And then the week before that, Alyssa and I also made the trip to Beamsville and met with another one of our local MPs, Dean Allison. And per usual, we talked about transit and housing. And because, of course, Dean Allison's writing is very rural, we also talked about rural students and the difficulties rural students face. In terms of Brock meetings, of course, I continue to have meetings with senior admin at Brock. The list has gotten shorter because we basically checked everyone off. So most of the ones here are reoccurring meetings that I do have. I had mentioned the strategic plan steering committee. So the first meeting for that happened a couple weeks ago, and Brock is implementing a new strategic plan in a year and a half, about I think it's 2025 as well. Same with BUSU.
Yep.
And then as part of the Board of Trustees training, I had a couple just one. I actually missed one because I was at CASA. And then PACRED. So we've had this has taken up quite a bit of our time lately. We've been meeting with the PACRED leadership. They were interested in running a referendum at the same time as the building referendum for to fund supports, services, and potentially a space in the future for racialized communities and for the 2S community. As Robert mentioned, the building needs to be our focus for the next couple months, and we communicated that with PACRED because they kind of wished for our support and for our assistance in getting this passed, and we told them that we have other priorities at the moment and that we plan our referendums quite far ahead, and they have agreed to delay their referendum until the next academic year. So that was very fortunate on that end. In terms of food first, Robert mentioned some of the numbers earlier, but we had a fresh produce market on November 14th, and we continue to have weekly grab and go breakfasts on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we chatted about the paint and reading red. Is that before the meeting? I'm not so sure it was before the meeting. So the executives attended Paint and Reading Red on Saturday, and we invited the McMaster Students Union. Their president was there with us and rubbed in the men's win in our face. The women did win. He just did not show up for that day. But yeah, so that was good. We've continued to have our office hours, which we call coffee and conversations. We've moved it to GB because we weren't getting many people coming to them anyways. But the idea is just to have them there as an option for students to come anyways. It's not really about forcing people to come. If people don't want to come, they don't have to come. It's just there as an option if students would like it. We're going to reevaluate and maybe try to think of something different for next term, because we do like to use our time to speak with students, and that's what the time we're allocating is for. So hopefully we can try to get more students engaged in our office hours next semester. And then of course, just continuing to be involved in our marketing and our communications in videos with Brock TV, who's right outside this room right now. And then in terms of the BPSS role that I've also taken on, I have reoccurring event planning meetings with Celine. So right now we're looking at Black History Month in February and International Development Week, which is sometime in the near future. I can't remember the date. CBC is done for the semester and possibly the entire year. We have run out of club funding, so that is something that we are going to have to potentially look at solving or looking at alternatives. I'd like to thank Carly and Alyssa for going to those meetings on Wednesdays when I was unable to make it, and then Carly took on the last couple of Thursdays that I obviously decided Carly was going to move forward doing those. We've been dealing with some club conflicts and some events and trivia Tuesdays every week. My weekly contribution is putting the speaker on the stand because most of the street team are too small to do that. And then just some events we've run in the past month, this Halloween hunt, the Halloween scavenger hunt, and Render This Film Festival, which was run by Brock TV, which I'd like to give a big shout out to Brock TV. This is probably one of my favorite events of the year. Really well run. We got to showcase the work of our actual students and not just putting on a fun event, but we actually got to see some of the skills that our students have, which I thought was really great, really cool to see. And then we had an ice cream and games event, which was pretty cool. Had a lot of people come to that. And then Taylor Swift night, and we also had a meeting with Celine and I had a meeting with Pride Niagara for future Pride events that we'll be having on campus. And then Alyssa has been up to, obviously right now, Alyssa and Carly are both at BUSU Advocacy Week. And during our last board meeting, they were at the General Assembly and Alyssa's policy paper got passed. Last week, Alyssa was, I mentioned earlier, we were at CASA Advocacy Week and she has attended a couple of meetings as well with Brock and local politicians. And she's also planning an event right now that is modeled after Western University's Pints with Politicians. Still workshopping the name. I won't reveal what we have right now. I'm not sure if it's going to stay the same. It's going to be a surprise. But we had a meeting with Campus Safety Services to iron out some details. And then, of course, our advisory committee and other things that all the executives participate in. Carly has attended Senate recently. They had their full Senate meeting, and then she has trained the new student senators as well as the other student senators that weren't just elected, the other 4 as well. And then she sits on a couple of committees. Carly's also on the hiring committee for the university librarian that just kicked off recently. And then quite a few working groups and committees that Carly sits on, they're all listed there. She's been attending those meetings and has been taking the lead on Food First with Ron, which has been quite successful or unsuccessful. It's kind of weird how you look at it. It's nice that we can help a lot of people, but it's really unfortunate that we have to, and that students are struggling to access food. And then of course, other things that all the executives participate in as well. And I'm like 95% of the way through my undergraduate degree, so I have a presentation on Wednesday, and I'm done for the semester. 2 more classes after that, and I'm done. So
Well, it wasn't in your report, so it doesn't count. All right, any questions, comments, anything to say, James? Awesome. Well, that brings us to pretty much the end of our agenda. Just before everybody goes, I just have a couple quick notes for our roundtable. Our next meeting is set for December 29th, I believe.
Mine says 5th. I was just about to bring that up. It's Tuesday, December 5th at 2.
How do you get? So,
She sent,
Tuesday,
Katie
December
sent
26th.
in,
oh,
mine says-
oh no, that's the BUSAC meeting.
Yeah.
BUSU AC. Yeah. Which, if you would like to come attend that as well,
oh, please come.
more than welcome. We would love to have some board reps there. When is it, sorry? You said
December 5th at 2 o'clock.
Tuesday, December 5th, 2 o'clock.
So to
Please encourage your friends to come. We're filling the president advisory committee and the BPSS advisory committee. So if you have any friends that want to hang out with me
Yeah.
sometimes,
So that's
join my committees.
BUSU AC. The next board meeting will be on 29th of December. That's a Friday night. I think I may kind of reach out to everybody closer to that date, just because I know that it is over the holidays, and just see if a different time would work better for people. Maybe you don't want to do it in the evening as well. I know I like to drink a lot of wine over the holidays, so. But you know, like I'll do that closer to. As well, the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna reach out to everybody to get schedules for next semester, so we can get our next semester meetings scheduled and just hit the ground running in January. With that, Robert had said it in his report, but I also wanted to just echo that. Good luck to everybody the next couple of weeks with your exams, reports, whatever you got going on. Stay focused, you got this, you're almost there. And also just to focus on yourselves and your mental health and your well-being. I know a lot of the time, especially these times of years, can get very stressful, and especially you all being student leaders in this role and other roles, it's important to look after yourselves first before you can, you know, be advocating for all the students. So just, make sure you're taking care of yourself, but yeah, that's all I have, so unless there's any final thoughts, comments, concerns,
Can I
Gabby?
say something? Please join my club. It was just ratified, feel free,
What club is it?
the Brock of Brady Bunch.
Brock Brady Bunch, love
We
it, that's
have
a good,
people,
that's a good.
we have people.
Is something as well?
Oh, it's on 29.6, right?
Yeah, I would, but, yeah, like, again, I'll reach out again, see if there's a better time,
I have
yeah.
a question for Gabby, what is the purpose of the product?
To learn about sport, like the medical field, neuroscience.
Brainiac stuff.
Stuff. You get to see like comments.
Alright.
It's like,
If there's nothing else, I gotta bust the catch, so I'm gonna call this meeting.
Motion,
We-
motion, need a motion.
Oh, we need to do a motion to adjourn at 7:44, but I'm gonna do it myself because I can just do that, so. Alex, done. Cool, thanks everyone.